We're going to go over the IRS Form 5498, IRA contribution information. So as a taxpayer, you should expect to receive this form probably after you've filed your income tax return for the given year. So for tax year 2022, you can probably expect to receive a copy of IRS Form 5498 after you've already filed. You don't need your 5498. This is an informational form, and this is a form that's provided for your records. It's important to note that there are 3 copies that are issued by your financial institution. So copy A goes to the Internal Revenue Service Center where you would file your tax return. Copy B is issued to the taxpayer, and then copy C is retained by the financial institution for their records. So in this video, we're going to walk through each of these blocks so you can get a better understanding of this tax form. On the left-hand side, you'll see contact information for your custodian. So let's imagine that you have investment accounts at Charles Schwab. This would have Schwab's information right here with the name, address, town. It would have Schwab's employer identification number in this area right here. Then right next to it would be your taxpayer identification number as the participant, as well as your name, mailing address, so on and so forth. Now, Form 5498 is found on the IRS website in conjunction with Form 1099-R. And the way to remember how each form works is that the Form 1099-R is issued to you as a taxpayer anytime money comes out of an IRA. So if you made a distribution, then you would receive a 1099. And because you have to report your taxes based on withdrawals a lot of times, you'll receive the 1099 before the 5498. The 5498 is your informational record of when money goes into an account. So the easy way to remember that is 1099s report money coming out of an IRA. Form 5498 reports money going into an IRA. So if you have a traditional IRA and you decide to do a Roth conversion, then you would expect to see a Form 1099-R for your traditional IRA, and then you would expect to see a Form 5498 for your Roth IRA. And again, you'll receive this information after your tax filing because most of this information is not going to impact the tax return that you're filing. It may contain information that could impact how you make certain transactions during the tax year. And we'll get into that in just a second. If you have an account number, then your trustee, your financial institution will put that in the lower left-hand side. On the right-hand side are all the information that is reported to the IRS that you should probably know a little bit about. So in box 1, this shows IRA contributions for the tax year. Since this form is a 2023 tax form, that would represent all of the IRA contributions that you made during the 2023 calendar year, plus any contributions that you made through the tax filing deadline, which is April 15th, 2024. So that's one of the reasons why you won't receive this form until after you filed your tax return. Box 2 shows any rollover contributions. So this is direct rollover to a traditional IRA or Roth IRA, or it could be a qualified rollover contribution. This also includes the military death gratuity or service members group life insurance payment that might be subject to the HART Act, which is basically a tax-free rollover into a Roth IRA. If you make that decision, you would expect to see that amount reported in your 5498 in box 2. It does not show any amounts that you converted from a traditional IRA, SEP IRA, or a simple IRA to a Roth. That would be in box 3, which is the Roth conversion amount. So real quick before we go to box 3, you should know that this does not contain any late rollover contributions. Those would be in box 13A. So box 2 contains rollovers to include direct rollovers, but not Roth conversions and not late rollovers. In box 3, this is the amount that you would expect to see converted from a traditional SEP or a simple IRA into a Roth IRA. And you'll use Form 8606 to determine the taxable amount. That's the IRS form for non-deductible contributions. Box 4, recharacterized contributions. So if there's any contribution that might have been recharacterized from one account to another, that would show up in box 4. And because Congress changed some of the recharacterization provisions, this box isn't used as much as it used to be. You'll primarily see this in a case where you might have made an excessive contribution to a Roth IRA at some point during the tax year, and then when you calculate your tax liability, you find out that you made too much money to make that contribution, so now you've got to back some of that money out. That's where you would see a recharacterized contribution. Box 5 shows the fair market value of all investments in your account at the end of the year. So basically on 12/31 of 2023 on this form, you would expect to see the fair market value of that account. In box 6, if there's an endowment contract, then you would see some sort of information here. For most accounts, you won't see anything in box 6. In box 7, simply the type of IRA that we're discussing, whether it's a traditional account, whether it's a SEP, a simple, or a Roth IRA. In boxes 8 and 9, these are contributions that you made either to a SEP IRA in 8 or a simple IRA in box 9 during the year. This could also include, for tax year 2023, this could include contributions that you made in calendar year 2023 for tax year of 2022. These boxes would not include any contributions that you made in 2024 for the 2023 tax year. And if these contributions are made by your employer, do not deduct them on your tax return. If you made them as a self-employed person, then they may be tax deductible. You should probably talk to your tax professional about that. In box 10 shows the Roth IRA contributions that you made in the calendar year of 2023 through April 15th, 2024. Do not deduct them on your tax return. Box 11, if this box is checked, it indicates that you probably need to withdraw a required minimum distribution in the 2024 tax year, so the following tax year. And this basically is, your custodian has your age information, account information, so they're required to provide this information to you on Form 5498. So the way this looks is if you are entering your first year of having to make a required minimum distribution for 2024, then for the first time in your life, you would see this box checked, box 11. Box 12A would indicate the date by which the RMD must be distributed to avoid the excise tax on any undistributed amounts. And then box 12B would show the dollar amount that must come out of this account. And again, your custodian is responsible for calculating this based on your age that's in their records, as well as the fair market value of the account at the end of the calendar year. Box 13A and 13B and 13C all refer to late rollover contributions. So this would be a what they call a 60-day rollover, so not a trustee to trustee rollover. So sometimes if you're doing a rollover and you don't specify a trustee to trustee rollover, like from your 401k plan to your to your IRA at Schwab, they might actually send you a check. So your 401k administrator might issue you a check, and then you receive the check, and you have 60 days to put that money into your IRA without tax consequences. So 13A, B, and C are all information fields in case there is a late rollover. 13A would simply state the amount of that rollover contribution. 13B would show the year in which this was credited. And then 13C contains a series of codes that may kind of help you better understand. So if you made a postponed contribution due to an extension of your due date because of a federally designated disaster, then you would see a code FD. There are certain codes for active duty service members serving in a combat zone. There are codes for participants who roll over, who make a rollover from a qualified plan loan offset. There's a self-certification procedure that would be shown here. So if this applies to you, and it usually will not, then you should talk to your tax professional about this. Box 14A and 14B, these are for reservists who may make a qualified reservist distribution according to the Internal Revenue Code. This could be a qualified disaster distribution or a qualified birth or adoption distribution. And the IRS has certain rules about how to treat all of these repayments, as well as different codes to mark them. So a QR code in box 14B, that marks that this was a qualified reservist distribution. Code DD would show repayment of a qualified disaster distribution, or code BA for a birth or an adoption distribution. And these are repayment amounts that your custodian is telling you that you should put your money back in before there becomes a tax consequence. And again, depending on the situation, you would have to refer to the IRS guidelines and the Internal Revenue Code for more clarification. And then the last box, 15A and 15B, this is a fair market value of certain investments in the IRA, as well as the codes. So code A would be stock or other ownership interest in a corporation that's not tradable. There's code D for real estate. So not your traditional stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, but more of the kind of obscure, arcane type investments. They all have a code that goes into this box. Most taxpayers won't have to worry about this. Certainly none of my clients that ever had Schwab accounts ever had any of these boxes. So that's it in a nutshell. Your Form 5498 explained. If you have any more questions, you can go to our website, teachmepersonalfinance.com, type Form 5498 in the search bar, and we've written an entire article for you. If you have any questions, please subscribe and reach out and ask us your questions. Thank you.